Hi, everybody. Excuse me. My name is bgaff, and I'm the systems manager, technology trainer, and robotics instructor here at the Peabody Public Library. Welcome back to Computer Fun Friday, where we have our virtual computer class. We also offer this in person in the morning. If you're local to me, you could come on over here to the library and actually be a part of, okay. And you would actually be able to be a part of what we are doing today. This is a recorded class, so it is not live. It is live right now, but it will not be live if you're watching it later on our YouTube channel. So just keep that in mind. Today, we're going to be talking about Excel for basics and for the beginners. We're going to be talking about the ribbon and some workbooks and worksheets, formatting cells, finding and selecting items, entering some simple data so we're able to graph it for ourselves, learning how that data can work for us in our normal everyday lives. So we're going to be looking and exploring a lot of different things that involve Excel today. So I am sharing my screen with you right now. There we go. And I wanted to go on to a site called Excel Easy. And in Excel Easy, it actually breaks some of this down for you. And I do have Excel up, so I am going to be showing it to you using Excel. However, you could get on this site, and I'm going to see if I can put that in our chat here. There we go. Here we go. So you would have access to that as well. It's in that chat for you. If you're watching this later, you can just email me, and I can, which is bgaff@ppl.lib.in.us. I'm going to put that down in our chat as well. And I would be able to send that over to you. Okay, so let me go back to here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start with basics. I do have Excel that we can kind of take a look at. I'm using Excel 2016, but most of them are pretty much all the same. The way that you use them is going to be exactly the same. The way that it may look a little bit different to you, but for the most part, it is pretty much the same. So we are going to take a look at the ribbon. So this is the ribbon for the Home tab. Excel, as well as Microsoft Word and any of the other Microsoft products, they all have this ribbon that is across it. And then they also have these tabs that are above the ribbon. Right now we've got File. That's what happens when I push on my file. I also have Home, Insert, Page Layout, Formulas, Data, Review, View, Automate, and Help. We're going to go through each one of these on the ribbon just so you can see what is actually available to you by using Microsoft Excel on their ribbon. So being on the Home tab, and we're going to start with that, these are all the options that I have available to me. I have my undo section. This is grayed out right now because we actually have not typed anything. But if we start to type things, then we'll see that I'm able to undo that. It will only undo as far back as you started. So if you are 10 steps ahead and you want to go back 5, you can do that. You cannot undo once you have saved. So once you have saved something, it's kind of stuck that way until you go in and edit it yourself. Undoing and redoing can only occur before you save your workbook or worksheet. So on the Home tab, these are our options. These little arrows and corners that are here, they just let us know there's more to that. So I can push on that and it's going to pull out some of those options for me. Anytime I see an arrow, it just means there is more to that. So keep that in mind as you kind of go through Excel, Word, any of those programs, that you can click on these little corners and it's going to pull out more information in regard to those. These are called panes. In between these little lines that separate these little areas on my ribbon actually are called panes. So this is my clipboard pane in this little area. This is my font pane. So anything affiliated with my font style. So if I wanted to change my font, I could just click on my arrow, and come down here and choose a font. What's nice about Microsoft Office is that I don't even have to push it on my mouse. I can just set it on top and it's going to change it for me right before my eyes. Until I actually left click to apply it, it's not going to be applied in whatever was defaulted, which Microsoft Office defaults to Calibri. Calibri is this font here. And it also will default to an 11. Typically people use 12, and typically people don't use Calibri. Sometimes it is Times New Roman, which is something that we've all been raised to use, especially when we're writing papers or something along those lines. So this is your font pane. So this just allows you to resize your wording, change the color, bold it, italicize it, underline it. I can also do borders, maybe. Oh, it's because I'm in it. So my border, these are the options for my border. So we're going to talk a little bit more about borders when we actually start entering in some basic data. This is my alignment pane. So if I click on that, I now have alignment options. So it just depends on what I need to use it for. This would be my formatting cells pane. So how I would like to do that. We're going to briefly talk a little bit about formatting those cells as well. That's what this is. And then, of course, these are a little bit further in more advanced. So I'm not going to get into a lot of those. But we will be using this cut, copy, and paste pane. We will be using the font pane, the alignment pane, and the format cells today. So moving on our tabs, I'm pushing on insert, and now my ribbon has changed for me. Insert is exactly that. It's anything that I want to insert into my spreadsheet. So that could possibly be a chart, a picture, some type of illustration. Anything that I want to insert in there is where this is going to go. My page layout allows me to change the orientation. By default, portrait, which means that it's going to be vertical. The paper is going to be up and down. Landscape is horizontal, so it goes from side to side. Then you can set your margins, but they are defaulted for you already. So you don't really have to play with a lot of this unless you just want to. Then you've got your sizing, what kind of, size you want it to be according to the paper that you may be using, or perhaps chart. And then we can do how we want our printing to look as far as grid lines and headings, bringing images forward and backwards. So that is all on our page layout. This is more on the intermediate side of the Excel program. So we won't be working a lot with that today, but I do want you to be familiar with what it is and what it can do. These are formulas, so if you're looking for something specific and you're not sure how to get it, you can come into some of the formula options that they have available. This is actually in the advanced class. So again, we will not be looking at a lot of this today. We will be doing some formulas, but we'll be typing them in instead of using the formulas bar or tab rather. But I wanted you to know what it was. Here's my data. This allows me to get analysis. How am I going to get my data? I can do queries, things along those lines, grouping. A lot of this would be more for if you were going to be creating some kind of a database, which Access is better for that than this. But if you wanted to learn simply how to create a database, you could do that in data. Under review, I can actually use my spell checker here, my grammar checker. I can also use a thesaurus if I want to change some wording around. I can protect my sheet, which means nobody else can do anything to it unless they have a password. And I can protect a workbook in the same concept. Under view, I can just kind of view what my page is going to look like. We're going to talk briefly about panes today, but that is more of an intermediate level, so we're not going to really mess a whole lot with that. I will briefly show it to you, but once we get into the intermediate level, we'll be looking more at that. Automate, I'm not real sure. This is a new feature that they've added to Excel. I have not even explored that yet. I'd imagine that would have something to do with that database I was talking about. And of course, you can always contact support for help. Under File, File is where I'm going to save stuff. I'm going to try to find stuff. I'm going to share stuff. So that's Print It. This is where you would find all of that information would be under File. We're going to start with our Home tab. And I'm actually going to flip us back to this, what we were talking about. So a ribbon in Excel, you can select Ribbons Home tab when you open it, and you can learn how to use it. This, if I push it, it allows me to explore more. So I'm able to kind of figure out what some of those items that we didn't discuss today. And this here is a formatted table. That is in the intermediate class. We are going to look at tables today, or more so graphs, but we could also later on, we will be discussing that as well. A workbook is another word for your Excel file. So when you start Excel, you can click blank workbook to create an Excel workbook from scratch. And going in here, this kind of looks familiar, doesn't it? We're able to go in and create a new workbook by just clicking on blank. So let me actually close this. I'm not going to save it. And I'm going to pull it back up, and there's that blank workbook that they were talking about. Double clicking gets me in. And then I can, there's other options available to me once I have that workbook open. So that's what a workbook is. Now let's take a look at this. Right now, this is a workbook, but I have sheets. I can have as many sheets as my computer has memory for. So currently it just says sheet 1. If you have not gotten yourself familiar with right click, right now is a really great time to do so. Right click is going to be your friend when it comes to anything that's a Microsoft product, including Windows, Excel, Office, any of that kind of stuff. So if I right click on this, I'm given a menu. That's right click's job. Its only job is to give you a menu. So once I'm in here and I have my menu, then I would be able to rename this. And maybe I don't want to call it sheets. Maybe I want to call it inventory. Click anywhere, and now it's accepted that. I can also choose a tab color for it. They give me some big theme colors, but if I don't like them, I can go into more colors and I can choose a color for that. Hitting my plus gets me the next sheet. And because I have 1, it's going to move on to 2, and it's going to go to 3, and it's going to go to 4. The process is done exactly the same. I right click to rename it, and maybe this is my cost. And again, I can right click to make it a color tab. Maybe I want it to be red. So we would just keep doing that, and you can have as many sheets again as your computer has for memory. So you could very well hold several sheets of data information if you so choose to do so. Okay, let me go back to what we were talking about. So this is that workbook. Worksheet is a collection of cells where you keep and you can manipulate the data. So that's what we were on. There's that sheet I was talking to you about in the inserting of it, being able to right click and renaming, and so forth. I can also delete them the same way. So if I decide I don't want this one, I can right click on it and just push delete. And I can do that for any of the sheets that I no longer want down here in my bar. Formatting cells. When you format cells in Excel, they change the appearance of the number without changing the number itself. So here they're entering in some money. So let's do some simple data. Today we are going to be pawn shop owners. So the first thing I want to do is I want to think of a name for my pawn shop. So my pawn shop is PPL Pawn Shop. Now, because I have this now in this cell, I can click in it. Now I can use my font pane. This big A makes my letters get bigger. And this little a makes my letters get smaller. So I may want to decide that I want it a little bit bigger. So that way I'm able to have a title. If I left click and drag, now I'm able to highlight this. And maybe I want to have a highlighted color inside. Now, this is still only one cell, just like this. See? So if I want to stretch it out, I can come in between my columns and double click. And then that's going to stretch out as far as whatever I've typed in there is. Now I have a little bit of color I don't need. So I can come back in and click a no fill. Let's talk a little bit about columns and rows. So this is my columns. And again, I can have as many columns as my computer will allow me to have memory-wise. These are my rows. While I'm entering in data, so I'm going to just, so maybe I need to have categories or headings. So maybe I need to label those. So this would be what the item is, my cost, my wholesale of what I'm going to sell it for, profit, and let's leave it at that for the moment. So now I have some categories. I have item, my cost, wholesale, and profit. And again, I can't really see this wholesale. So if I come in between my columns, I can double click and it will pull it out as far as the word will go. If you don't like that and you want it to come out farther, you can just come in between these columns, left click and drag, and it's going to pull it out manually. The double click just does it up into the frame of the word. So if you want it farther, then you can left click and drag it and it will go farther for you. Now, let's say I want all of these to be bold. I can click bold. I've got bold, italicize, and underline. Now, here's where my border might come into play. I can choose a bottom border. And now I have a line that's across that kind of separates it. I can also come this side and do a border, but this time I only want to do a right. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and board the whole thing up. So that's what my border does. My border allows me to frame it in for myself and make it look appeasing. So let's enter some simple data. Sheet. So because we're a pawn shop, we're going to be getting a lot of stuff. So first off, we're going to fill this out, and then I'm going to show you how we can add a column and a couple of columns and how we can move them around. So let's start with our item. And our first item of inventory are speakers. My cost on those were $10. But I am going to, here, let's change this to say selling price. So I am going to sell them though for $50 because that's what they're worth. And then I need to determine what my profit on that is going to be. So first off, these did not come up as dollars like I had anticipated. So we're going to have to format ourselves. But let's get ourselves some more simple data. I had a CD player come in. I paid $5 for it, but I can flip it for $15. Now my arrow keys on my keyboard allow me to just go through all these. So give that a try of moving around. You can also use your tab and that will take you through, or you can use the mouse. So this lady really wanted to pawn her dishwasher. Although I didn't have any use for it, I went ahead and took it. I gave her $50 for it, and I feel like I could probably flip it for $200. We get TVs all day long. This particular TV is an LG, and I paid them $75 for it, and I'm going to sell it for $175. And they also brought in a tablet. I paid $10. I can flip it for $60. All right, so I've got what I paid for it and what I'm going to be selling it for. So this would tell me what my profit's going to be. But first I need to convert these into dollars. So I'm going to click on the first cell. Each one of these squares is called a cell. So I'm going to click on the first cell that I know that I'm going to want to change. I'm going to left click and I'm going to drag and collect all of that information. Right click, format cells. I'm going to go to currency and OK. Now it has changed all of my numbers to dollars. Something else you can do is copy this formula into the ones below it. So I can right click, copy, go to the cells that don't have any information and paste. Once I do that, I can actually click out somehow, but I can go in and I can delete these, but my formula is still in there. So if I have a new item come in, somebody brought in a basket, I was able to get it for $5 and I'm going to sell it for $20. It automatically will change my values to dollars because I copied that code or that formula into those different cells. Now, what if I want to know my profit? So I can left click and drag into my profit line. Going to go up to my Actually, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you your very first formula. All formulas in Excel always start with equals. And I want to take this number because obviously I can't subtract a smaller number from a larger number. So I need to grab my larger number first. So I'm going to take this number and I'm going to, and they have parentheses. So it should be a smile, it should be a frowny face. And I'm going to take this number minus this number, and I'm going to put my brackets around it. So now you can see it's taking it from the formula line, and I see it here, and I'm going to click enter. That would be my profit. Now, because I have this formula in this box, I can right click and copy it and paste it into all of these, and it will automatically configure it for me. Pretty cool, right? It also gave me borders. So I may want to come into my borders and just say no borders. But it made me lose the one I had, so I'm going to put those back in. And this would just be a right border. There we go. Now I'm back to where I was. But you can see, now if I copy this formula, though, I can copy it down just like I did the others. Let me copy this formula, and I'm going to drag it down. And let me copy this formula, and I'm going to drag it down. Now, I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to click delete on my keyboard, and all those formulas have stayed. So if I enter a new item now, somebody brought in a ring. I gave them $55. I'm going to turn it around and sell it for $200, and it automatically calculates my profit. So I might want to bold my profits. Now, let's say that I want to have a total line that tells me how much I've spent, how much I could earn, and what my profit could be. So I would just left click and drag all the way down to total. I have what's called an auto sum button over here. So I'm going to click that, and it sums up my cost, sums up my selling price, and here's my profit. And again, this might be something that you might want to bold and italicize. You can also change the color. So let's say that you want this to actually be in a blue. You can change it to blue. And it's already bolded and italicized. Let's say you decide, no, I want it just to be red. So you can fluctuate between how you want it to be. Now, excuse me. Let's say that I have my inventory. This is my cost, my selling price, and my profit. But now I need to do actual. What I actually sold it for. Actual selling price. And again, I can come in here and double click, and it's going to pull that out. And maybe the person. Let's do their, let's see, last name. Okay. And again, I can come between my columns and double click, and that pulls all of that out. So of course I'm going to need a formula in here. So my actual selling price, this is what I sold it, was what I wanted to sell it for, but I actually sold it for $45. Now, you can see, because we have not gone outside of our little boundary here that we created, I'm going to have to reformat my cells. But I'm going to say, okay, I actually sold it for 45, not the 50. I'm going to insert. So clicking on a column and clicking insert will put a new column in. So this would be actual profit. And I sold it to, last name was Lewis, first name was Kim. And now I need to figure out what my actual profit is. So here goes again with those formulas. So I'm going to start out with an equals and a parenthesis. I need to see a frowny face. And it's going to be this number now minus my profit. That is my actual profit. No. Let me undo that. So I'm going to change this to say estimated profit. Pull it out. This would actually be equals frowny face this minus this, because that was my cost. I need to take my cost, subtract it from my actual selling price, and that was my profit. So I might want to put a border on here. And I might want to bold this. Now I need to make this a formatted cell because it's not coming up as $45. So I'm right clicking, format cell, currency, okay. So I can copy this formula and put it in with the rest. It's going to say $45 because I copied it that way, but I can just click delete and that formula is in there now. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And that will actually change as I go. So the CD player was, my cost was $5. I wanted to sell it for 15 with an estimated profit of 10, but I actually only sold it for $7.50. So automatically it changes my actual profit for me. My dishwasher, I paid $50 for it. My selling price was $200, but I actually sold it for $175. So I only made a profit of $125 instead of the $150 as I'd hoped. The TV, I paid $75, hoping to flip it for $175. I actually flipped it for $125. So I got a $50 profit. My tablet, bought it for 10, want to sell it for, I sold it for 50. My basket, got it for 5, I sold it for 15. My ring, bought it for 55, selling it for 200. They actually bought a warranty and everything, so they actually bought it for 240. So now I can take this down like I did before and do an auto sum. And this is my actual profit versus this profit. And I'm probably going to want to put a line on that, so everything's kind of the same. So now I could create one that tells me what my difference is. Difference in profits. So here again, I'm going to do my equals to make my frowny face. I'm taking this number minus this number. and I was $62 off from what I originally thought I was going to make. So that's not too bad. And then in here, I can go ahead and fill in people's names. Just putting in some simple data. Okay. Now, one thing you can do with this is that you can sort it to be in alphabetical order. One thing that I need to do is I want to sort this in alphabetical order by the last name of the person that purchased. So what I need to do is I need to take these two columns and I'm right clicking and I'm going to cut those out. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paste them in there. Well, I was going to try. Insert cut cells. There we go. So that means here I'm going to have to cut this out and put it over here and highlight it again. Okay. So now I need to collect some data. So I was able to get that because I want to do this by last name, first name. So I need to collect all of this. All of this. And I'm going to go to my insert. And I'm going to go to charts. So these are all my different charts I have options for. So I am going to click on a column chart. Actually, let's get one that's more of a 3D. There we go. And now I have charted all of that information. These little handles on the sides allow me to bring it open. I'm going to delete this chart because I realized that I actually want to put this in alphabetical order. So I'm not going to worry about my headers. I'm just going to gather. I'm just going to gather my data. And now I'm going to come up to the sort and filter, and I'm going to sort it A to Z. You have to make sure to collect all of that data, because if you don't, then you're going to have everything mixed matched. It all has to match together. And now you can see that it's put it in alphabetical order by last name. My totals haven't changed. Nothing's changed except for who bought what. And now it's in order by last name. So now I might want to go ahead and do a pie chart. Let's try a different chart. So I'm going to insert pie chart like so. Not sure why that happened. Let me delete. I don't know why that happened. It only picked up some of it. Still only picked up some of it. My cost. But you can see there's a lot of different charts that you could actually use. Nice. I like that. And you could not do some of your data if you don't want to. So now finding the kind of chart that you feel is going to benefit you the most. So we'll grab this one. And again, I'm just left clicking and dragging those corners to make it bigger. Now that I have a chart, they've given me a new tab. So now I can go in and kind of change my chart around if I want to. These are ones that are programmed in. So you can decide if any of these might work a little better for what you're doing. That one's pretty cool. I like it when it shows the money amount. So you would be able to choose which one you want. I've got my formatting that I could go in and do, which is changing the colors around. Right here, I can actually just click on this chart title and I can type in what I want to call it. Excuse me. And now I have options over here as well. So a lot of this is going to be you just kind of playing around with Excel and seeing what all you can do. This would be a really great thing to use if for budgeting. So a checkbook. Let me get rid of this. Instead of perhaps inventory and running a business, maybe it's my checkbook. And I could do this as my check number. And then, of course, I can pull out my column a little. Maybe the date of the check, what's the item. Oops. Amount cleared. So again, I can put my border in. Maybe I've got check number 01255. It was on date today. The item was gas and the amount was $50. And that's another one of those cells we would have to format to currency, but then you could just copy and paste it all the way down. Here you could just print this, or you could come in on your computer and you could put the date that it cleared. It was cleared on the 26th. I'm in the future now. And maybe I want something special with that. Maybe I highlight it when I know it's cleared. So you could keep a checkbook as well. This would be great for teachers to keep all of their student assignments. You could have a worksheet down here for each subject you teach, or perhaps assignments. Sorry, I was trying to think. Assignments, projects, anything like that. So. All right, we got a little bit of a late start today, and I apologize for that. It's trying to get on here, and I wanted to make sure it was going to record like I wanted it to do. And I still don't know if it did. So I guess I will find out when the class is over. And I'm going to stop sharing. So hopefully it's not just me staring at you, but thank you for joining me for another session of Computer Fun Friday, where we talked about Excel. Be looking next month. I do believe we have a computer class next month. Be looking next month for our next computer class. And as always, if you need one-on-one help, you can just get a hold of me here at the library, and I'd be more than happy to assist you. And all of this is free to you from us. Yes, I said it. Free. The word free. It's the big F word today. F-R-E-E, free. So thank you so much for joining me, and I cannot wait until we meet again. Thanks, guys.